Oh well, it'll be okay. It'll work. We have a lot.
That wasn't you. That was my sickness.
That's okay. I can fix everything in post. Because what was the one rule we learned at Baylor? You can fix it in post.
That's the thing that you definitely can do, and you don't need to get coverage.
Yeah. Just fix it in post. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I am also happy to be on the RPG Book Club, and my name is Maddie.
And I am special guest David Bernard Howe.
Woo!
Yay!
He's still here.
And
I don't know if I'm special, but I'm a guest.
Yeah.
No, you're special.
And
Everyone is special, which makes no one special.
Yay.
Isn't that what they say?
yeah.
That movie has awful politics when you think about it for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
The Incredibles?
Yeah.
I love The Incredibles.
I mean, the bad guy is a weapons dealer. That's nice.
Yeah.
I guess that's nice. But all of Brad Bird's movies, if you really dig into them, you're like, oh, this guy's like super libertarian.
Damn.
Libertarian, fashy kind of guy.
But
It's weird.
it was the villain who was saying that
Yeah.
everyone would be special, which would make no one special.
Yeah. It was at least coming from the villain, and the bad guys were
Yeah.
like, no.
Yeah, but I think it was coming from the villain in more of the villain's got some good ideas kind of way that a lot of movies
Maybe
do.
so.
Maybe.
Anyway, whatever. Sorry, I already derailed
It's
that.
okay.
What game were you playing, Eli?
We had a tangent before we started the podcast. that's like a record for us.
It's not even a record,
It's probably not. But today we will be discussing the second part of Dragon Quest V, Hand of the Heavenly Bride, up until the save at the end of Chapter 1. That has a big plot thing that we tried to dance around so much last week to keep Eli surprised.
We got a big old chunky week.
Yeah.
There's a lot that happens in not a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like,
No, not at
a whole
all.
lot of shit happens.
Yeah.
And it only took like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yep. One nice thing about old games is that they don't have voice acting or cinematography, so like they really book it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I appreciate
when I go back and play, Eli's favorite Final Fantasy VI nowadays. I'm always like, wow. When I first played this game, it felt like this super long adventure, like this huge epic journey. But now I play it, and it still is a big epic journey, but it's also like everything takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Final
entire
Fantasy IV
plots.
is even more like that. It just goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like every plot event is like 5 minutes.
Final
And now you're
Fantasy
in the next
IV
town.
can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, four is the most of that. But actually, this game is sort of on Final Fantasy IV's level as
Yeah.
far as just fucking booking it.
So,
I mean, I'm
really is.
3.5 hours in, and so much has happened.
yeah.
Yeah, 3.5. That's wild. I'm at like 4.5. So
I'm-
you're even.
I'm at 5.5.
Yeah.
I don't know
Because
how
I
I'm
suck.
talking to
I
everybody.
think I'm at 4:45 actually. Yeah.
I have actually been talking to everybody, which I don't normally do.
Yeah.
Not when
For me,
I'm
it's been
playing
balanced
first.
because.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say for me it's balanced because I naturally play these games stupendously slowly, but also I've already played it, and I've especially played enough Dragon Quest to just be really, really good at the combat and not have to level up as much. So those two things balance out, I think, for me.
Yeah, when we were first starting the podcast, our first game was going to be Final Fantasy IV before we decided on Persona 3. And I was looking at like the guide and trying to pick where we were going to stop, and there were 14 sections in the guide. And they all were like named something completely different, like different plot points for 14 major plot points. And the how long to beat for that game is 20 hours. So it's like you get through one major plot point an hour, pretty much. Yeah.
Yep. So
we do a bit of that this week.
Yeah, should probably do the how is Hell's Week thing right now. Bernard, what's going on with you?
I was literally segueing into that, and you cut me off.
Oh, lol. I thought you were about to segue into actually talking about the game, and I was like, no.
But I was literally about to say but before we begin, like, what's the next words coming from my mouth? I'm leaving all of this in. So how was everyone's week?
My week was awful. I had such an awful week at work. I do support for a website, and basically every single person accessing the website because of an update needed to clear their cache. And so every single person was calling in about that, and so we were just swamped, and it was awful. But I did see John Wick Chapter 3, which was great, and a good way to end the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also saw John Wick. I had a good... Well, I've still just got constant stuff going on from an emotional standpoint, and it's rough. But my weekend ended very well. Saturday was the East Bay VSA's yearly convention, and I volunteered to be a... it's like the biggest event of the year, very big deal. I volunteered to be a vote counter, which I did partially because it's good to volunteer for things when they need volunteers. And secondly, it's good for my vanity because being a vote counter means that if a vote is too close to call just by looking at the hands, the vote counters have to stand up where everyone can see them and walk around and be the center of attention for a couple minutes while they count the votes. So I put together absolutely my hottest outfit and made myself look really pretty and then got to be a vote counter. Although sadly enough, I only got to count votes one time, which actually is good. That means that the convention was very ran well and wasn't contentious. And then after that, I hung out with a good friend of mine who was in town, and I really missed her because she'd been I hadn't seen her for like a month, and that was really, really nice. And then on Sunday after work, I went and did a double feature of John Wick and Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, nice.
I still haven't taken Scarlett to see Detective Pikachu. We might go today. I asked her if she wanted to go yesterday, and she was like, "No." But I just don't think she understands like what I mean when I was like, "Do you want to go watch the Pikachu movie?" So we'll see.
It's so good.
She's gonna lose her bonkers. It's a great movie for anyone, but also I'm like, when I'm watching it, I'm like, if I was a kid, like, this is probably the best. I mean, I guess I can't really judge because I'm not a kid, but it's like, I think that this might be the best kids movie I've seen in like a decade.
Nice.
It's so
like,
fucking good.
Yeah, when I watched it, like, my first thought afterwards was like, holy shit, if that had come out when I was 8 years old, during, like, when Pokemon was first being a thing, if I had seen that movie when I was at that age, I would have just lost my mind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would have just exploded from happiness.
Yeah, and like any good children's movie, like, it really does have a decent like emotional point to it. You know, there's sort of a moral to the story and stuff like that. So it's not just a bunch of, minions dicking around for 2 hours. Like it's got some good movie shit. Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see it. I will report back whenever I finally do.
Yes.
What about you, Eli? How was your week, not including today? I know today is a sad day.
Today is not going to be good. I also had not a great week because we announced Classic WoW, and oh god, and by announced Classic WoW I mean we announced the release date and we announced the beta.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and
I saw everyone talking about it, and I was like, didn't that come out ages ago? But I guess it didn't, huh?
No, it's not coming out until August. August 27th for anyone who's interested. Here's a hot tip. No, customer support cannot give you a beta invite under any circumstances.
Oh my god.
Fucking asking.
I worked at Blizzard during the Overwatch beta, so
oh no.
I know how it feels.
Oh,
yeah,
it's the worst.
Well, I've been there since 2009.
Yeah.
So I've been through a lot of betas. And every time it's worse.
Yeah.
It's literally every time it's worse.
I don't get it. Why would people think that you would do that?
I don't know.
Like,
I have stories that I can't tell.
Yeah. I have so many stories that I can't tell.
Yeah.
Some people's brains just work different, man. Some people's brains just think, I deserve a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want it. And I don't I always think the opposite. I always think I don't deserve good things because I hate myself.
Yeah,
so the idea of just being like, I'm just gonna ask someone if I can have this thing and assume that apparently that's a thing that they can do and will do. Like, who thinks that way?
No, not me.
No, I got too much generalized anxiety to even ask like my wife to make me breakfast sometimes. So there's no way I can ask a stranger to give me World of Warcraft.
It didn't even occur to me until I started working there that people would contact Blizzard to ask for hints about quests.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that
because like I always looked that shit up myself because I'm an old school video gamer who like had to figure shit out.
Yeah.
No, they are old school. They're thinking about the Nintendo helpline.
Alright, I was a poor old school video gamer who couldn't afford the Nintendo helpline.
Yeah, I certainly recall the Nintendo helpline.
I feel that every copy of World of Warcraft should come with a playground and the that kid whose dad works for Nintendo, so that you can just ask him what you're supposed to do.
My dad works for Nintendo! I'm gonna be the uncle who works for Blizzard. And
see,
except instead of spilling secrets all the time, all you do is you just say, "No, I'm not going to tell you any cool secrets."
Yeah, shut up about it.
See, because the kid on my playground told me that you have to go to the last room in Naxxramas, but die on the trainer there, so then you can go to the ship and use strength on the truck, and that's how you figure out your next quest.
That damn truck. Now I'm imagining like your like nephew or niece in the playground, and they're like, "My uncle gave me a World of Warcraft beta," and then you yell from like off screen, "No, I didn't." He's lying.
The idea of a little kid wanting to play WoW Classic is hilarious.
I know.
Like a really fucking pretentious little kid.
Yeah. WoW Classic is the best thing that ever happened. I'm 10.
I think WoW Classic is an amazing, beautiful thing that is happening, but I don't think today's little kids would be into it.
No.
No, there's not nearly, unless Ninja streams it.
I love Classic for what it was, and that was the thing that got me into MMORPGs and the thing that got me into WoW.
And that's it.
But the thing that has kept me around in WoW has been the expansions and the improvements that have been made.
Yeah, like vanilla WoW didn't have an accurate map. You would bring up like a JPEG of the world, and you didn't even have like a waypoint on it. You looked at a picture of the world to figure out where you were.
I do have a great story about getting lost when doing the Druid Aquatic Form quest.
Nice.
I did it at level, even though people were like, "Don't do it at level 16. That's a bad idea." And I was like, "I'm fucking doing it." And it was really hard, and I had never been to the Eastern Kingdoms before. Or I had been once, and someone told me how to get to Stormwind from Menethil Harbor, but I forgot. And so I got my Darkshore part. There was a pendant you had to get, and there were two halves of it, and one's in Darkshore and one's in Westfall. And so in the water. And so I take the boat over to Menethil Harbor, and I make my way toward through the wetlands, which is really hard because the mobs are like level 20 and I'm 16, so of course they're all biting me.
Yeah.
And then I head southward, and I know that I have to go through Lochmoden, so I go through there, and then I took a wrong turn, and I ended up in the Badlands. And the Badlands is full of level 30 plus mobs.
Whoops.
And my naive little night elf ass thought, hey, I can shadow meld and they won't see me. Nope. There were mobs coming from like 80 miles away to rip me apart while I was shadow melded.
Yeah.
And being the naive little night elf I am, I'm like, well, if I just keep going through here, eventually I'll make it to Stormwind. And so I just kept death running, and finally I found a no Morlock. And I was like, oh my god, help me. I don't know what to do. I'm so lost. So they hopped on a mage, came and gave me a portal, and then they gave me 5 gold.
That was beautiful.
I was the richest level 16 player, and then I blew it all in the auction house because I didn't understand how gear worked.
Same.
The end.
I have a very similar story. I did most of the same thing, but it was to get my succubus on my warlock, and I was following a horde tutorial, and I didn't realize that there was a difference between Horde and Alliance because I was a stupid high school kid that had never played an MMO before. And so I'm just like, it's like, all right, go to Thunder Bluff. And so I'm this level 16 warlock trying to walk through the guards at Thunder Bluff and just destroying me. And it was horrible.
Classic is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not gonna lie, every time y'all talk about the reasons why it's like bullshit and frustrating and bad and stuff, I'm just like, yeah, this makes me really want to play it.
I mean, it's your kind of game for sure.
Yeah. So well, I don't know if I can say that thing that you guys all know about because she told me I couldn't, and then she told you guys off mic. So whatever.
Sam's got some really big news, but Sam himself has not been given permission to share it. So
yeah, it's really cool. Really cool. But other than that, this week I have I beat Iconoclasts, and I'm telling you, if you want to play it, just skip all the cutscenes. The story doesn't make any freaking sense. So just.
You know, I had a hunch, because the first couple cutscenes were fascinating, and I was really into it. And then after a few hours, I was like, this seems like it's not going in interesting directions, and it's just going to end up being dumb Metroidvania stuff, which is a shame, because that's what I was excited about for the first 30 minutes. Damn, so sad to hear that. You hate to see it.
Like, if you're intrigued by the world, do it, because it's a good world-building game. Like, the world seems really interesting. They just don't tell a good story there, because Robin doesn't have any personality or like a motive. She just is doing Metroidvania stuff in this really cool world where while everyone else has feelings and emotions, but then Robin is the hero and not all these people that you've cared about the whole time, and it's dumb. But it just goes off the rails, and I was just like, you know what? I don't care. I'm just gonna do this kick-ass platforming, and that'll be that. So yeah,
I do like platformers, so maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's like it was a lot of fun while I was playing it, and all the boss fights are great. Except there's one that's stealth, and just look up a guide on how to cheese it because it's fucking bad and annoying. But yeah, I beat that this week. Started Persona 4. I got my next Dragon Quest game after this one will probably be Dragon Quest 7 because I hate myself, I guess, and I just want to play 200 hours of a Dragon Quest game.
Dragon Quest 7 is so good.
It's so good. Yeah, and so I have.
You're gonna flip.
I have that one lined up to be next. I did a lot of like getting my gaming affairs in order this week, which was really, really cool. And
One really good thing about the 3DS version of Dragon Quest 7 is that it's extremely easy to. If you, say, put it down for 3 months, it's extremely easy to pick it back up and keep going.
That's good. Yeah, I'm really stoked on. Like I turned it on and like went through the first cutscene. And I'm like, no, there's no way I can do 2 Dragon Quests at once because I'll want to play this one and not 5. And then I will sit here and we're like, what do we talk about this week? I'm like, okay, well, I did the first set of islands, and you're just like, no, Sam, no.
Wrong one.
But yeah, I guess we can start talking about the game here 20 minutes in. This is to
quote Tim Rogers, actually talking about the game now.
Yes.
You're like, we got a real beefy episode. Let's waste 22 minutes just shooting the shit.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, what was last? Eli, I know you're leading, but last week I wanted to really make sure that we were correct on something because of the confusion about what we did and didn't talk about last week. So I went back and played it, and I realized why there was a mistake, Sam. We were saying save back in the town, and you were like, "Oh, I went and did this cutscene." That's the different town.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we specifically ended last week, we just finished with the mansion. We go back to Bianca's hometown, and basically nothing important happens there, except they say, let's go back to the original town. Oh, wait, no, that's right. There's one with water. Did we get the dog yet?
Saber, yeah. We get Saber.
Okay,
there.
we did, yeah. And then we save. Then we go back to our other town, and that's where the scene that Sam was talking about happens.
Yes.
So let's go on.
Let's start back in Wheelbrook, our town. That's where we.
So we're not going with Roundbeck because that was where I started my notes.
Oh no, we're starting there. I just wanted to.
Yeah, we're just starting from there.
Sorry.
Like that's our first destination is getting.
I'm very out of it. I'm very easily confused.
Oh, it's cool. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any missing anything with the way we tie these two episodes together.
Yeah. So we start heading out around back. Bianca gives us a ribbon, and Dad basically tells us not to do anything stupid. He's like, "You're gonna be good, right?" And I was like, "Nope."
Yep.
Nope. I'm gonna go on an adventure in Fairy World. See you, Dad.
Yeah. So we get back to Wheelbrook, and Dad tells us not to leave town. So like NPCs are blocking the way, so we literally can't leave. There's an old guy in front of the house who tells us that Porkchop has an enemy, and we could help if only we weren't a toddler. Mm-hmm. And then this is where I found future Eli.
Yeah.
Or at least I assume it's future Eli because he's dressed exactly the same as me. And he talks about our balls. I'm sorry, that glowing orb that we found. And tells us to take care.
He's like, "Oh, you still have your balls. I dropped mine."
Yeah. Oh, we're so clever.
Good one, Sam.
You're welcome. Because he's old and you're a kid right now, so it was a puberty joke.
Yeah, I got it. Thanks for explaining it.
I had to make sure I've ruined it.
Is it too late to not be on the podcast?
We'll edit you out of the last episode.
Okay.
You're stuck in here with me.
I found Rockefeller again too, and he gave me a cape that I already had.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, not complaining too much. It's like 25 gold to sell. So, I noticed walking around that and talking to the NPCs. Apparently, stuff is appearing and disappearing randomly, and it started happening when future Eli appered. But that seems to have been kind of a red herring.
Yeah, I think they just wanted you to find future Eli so that you would notice him.
Yeah. Notice him, senpai.
Yeah, the way this game tends to work is, anytime a new thing's about to happen, all the NPCs start talking about whatever the new thing is that's going to happen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Persona 3's like that too, I guess.
So, eventually I figured out that I had to go into the inn. It took me a while.
Yeah.
It was the only building I didn't go in. Because I was like, surely there's nothing there.
Especially because I didn't even realize there was a bar underneath it, so I went in and I went upstairs, and I'm like, there's no traveler here. I guess they were talking about me, but he's not saying new stuff, so like, what am I supposed to be doing? Didn't even see the staircase in the corner.
Yeah, same. But yeah, then I noticed that there's like a little ghost girl telling us to find her in another cellar, which we so conveniently have in our own house.
Yeah.
So we head back to Papyrus's house, and turns out, sorry, I've made it my mission to come up with as many different names for Pancraz as I can.
It's so good.
Turns out she's a fairy, not a ghost, and Fairyland is in danger. Oh no!
Love it.
You hate to see it.
I don't like this part of the game is so bonkers, and I love it. Just like
it is.
Just like, oh, you casually meet fairies. Okay, I guess like fairies in Fairy World is real in this game. Oh, it's like a whole planet that we're going to go to for just a little bit and come back. All right.
Pancraz is trying so hard to get you to not go off and have an adventure, and he just cannot.
You can't. Yeah. You can't stop.
The adventure is coming from inside the house.
Exactly.
It's great. I like this fairy part was like, all right, I am 100% on board with this game now.
Sam, imagine if your kid was just like constantly, literally going off on fantasy adventures and getting like killed, but then revived in a church multiple times. That would be even harder than it sounds like parenting already
kid
is.
Dragging her back.
Yeah.
it turns out that this little fairy is the one who's been moving shit around to try and get people's attention because no one can see her except for us because we're 6.
She also seems like, while she's saying it, like she's really, like, she was taking a lot of joy in it because she's a fairy, and she was like, I was loving fucking with people, but really I just wanted somebody to notice me.
Yeah. It also kind of, like, it made me think of Peter Pan and that, like, you have to believe in fairies to be able to see them and that sort of thing. Clap your hands if you believe in Honey. That's her name. Her name is Honey.
Yeah.
So she didn't let me save before kidnapping me, but whatever. And she takes us to see the fairy queen named Treacle.
Yeah. When she takes us to a fairy world, like, Nimbus Cloud steps just appear in our basement, and it's just like,
oh yeah,
it's just like, Dad, you don't see this? Like,
yeah.
You wonder where I went, and you don't see the stairway to heaven?
I don't go in the basement. I just don't go down there. He doesn't care about breaking barrels like I do.
Yeah, we go see Treacle.
We go see Treacle, and she welcomes us to Fairy Lee, the soft and creamy home of the fairies. Not sure why it's soft and creamy, but it made me think of there was an old sitcom called Norm that was starring Norm Macdonald, and there was one episode where, like, his boss had to get a new job or something, and he started working at a place called Meat and Cream.
Ew.
And her motto was "Have a meaty, creamy day." That was, like, gross. Immediately what I thought of. Anyway, so Treacle says we can see fairies because we have a special power. I'm sure that power is being a child. Then says the Herald of Spring was stolen, which is why it's cold. There was that guy out in Wheelbrook who was like, "Oh, it's spring, but it's so cold."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they can't bring in the spring without that item. So the fairies are apparently annoyed with Treacle for being too soft and creamy. She's
not racist enough.
Yeah, she's too nice. Which is an important thing we should remember. I also learned that saber cats come straight from hell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which, well, that's terrifying.
Right. But he looks so soft and cuddly in Your Story trailer.
I know.
I just want to.
So cute.
I just want to, like, rub my face on him. That's our Twitter background right now. Is the shot from Your Story trailer where the hero and the saber like cuddling their faces, and it's so
nice.
Good.
So we learned from the townsfolk that there's a winter palace that we have to go to get the Herald of Spring back, and apparently there's also some dwarf who has been kicked out of Fairy Lee, who was like a lockpick or something. He was a thief, supposedly, and he wrote lots about locks.
Yeah.
So I headed to the Winter Palace because I'm an idiot, and Honey made sure to call out that I was an idiot by telling me it's locked. Why weren't you paying attention to what the townsfolk told me, you fucking moron? So,
I wasn't any smarter. I literally just couldn't remember what direction things were, so I just walked west, and whatever dungeon I got to, and it turned out it was the right one.
I remembered everything that people were saying about all that, but for some reason I went to the Winter Palace first. I was just like, oh, that's where I need to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's fine.
I literally just forgot which direction which thing was in, so I just lucked out.
Yeah. So I turned my ass around, and I headed back toward the dwarf place, the Dwarf Cave. I also,
the Dwarf Fortress.
This is where I noticed that the saber cat is like a disobedient Pokemon, because like I would tell it to attack and it would defend.
He was doing that for you too?
Yeah. Or I would tell it to attack one target and it would attack a different one.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that, because I thought he was doing that because I named him Punk. Like, maybe that's Punk's thing, is that he doesn't fucking listen to you. So I'm glad that I didn't fuck up myself, and that's actually what's happening to everybody.
Yeah.
Cool.
I have the canon name for Saber, and it's still doing the same.
Yeah, I just put the AI on because he's gonna act freely anyway. So
I eventually did that. I was like, whatever, fuck it. He can't do any spells, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So we get to the Dwarf Cave, and we learn from the disgraced dwarf that someone named Dwight ran off with the Herald of Spring.
I'm pre-laughing at that pun because it's so bad.
We haven't even gotten there yet.
I know. It's my next screenshot, at least.
Because Dwight thinks that Treacle kicked the dwarf in the cave out of Fairy Lee, and he wants to get his revenge on the fairies for it. So we have to go through this little dungeon to find lots about locks and book Get, and we apparently learned by osmosis.
Yeah. It's made such a big thing that we can't read, and so it's just like, so the book just glows and disappears and goes straight into your mind. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, it says Maddie magically absorbs the wisdom from the pages of the book.
And the dog absorbs the artifact. Sorry, Undertale reference. I also learned not to step in poison puddles.
Yeah. I'm glad that this was a fairly safe poison puddle, because like poison puddles are a big deal in Dragon Quest traditionally. Like, it's a big like roadblock, because a lot of times you'll need a thing that's in the middle of a poison puddle. So it's like, deal with the fights and healing and everything while you go and get it. And this one was like, no reason to be in it, but you're probably going to accidentally walk in it anyways, and you can just know what it is for when it's probably going to be important later.
Gotcha.
I like that.
So we head back to town, and I rested, which apparently made me go back home, but thankfully the stairway was still there. So we go back to the palace, the Winter Palace. We head to the Winter Palace. And I noticed the floor has ice physics, but they're not nearly as bad as, like, in Pokemon, when you slide on ice, you keep going until you hit an obstacle. Like, there's some friction to this ice, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, you go for like a set amount of squares, which is really nice.
Yeah.
It made me have to like break my brain a little, because I'm so used to the Pokemon format, and so I'm just like, how do I possibly get out of this? And then I just like, well, fuck it, and I just try, and then I stop in front of where I'm supposed to be. I'm like, I was done. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a pretty short dungeon, and we run into Dwight, who corrects us. He's not Dwight Dwarf. He's the White Dwarf. And he also apparently has a cold. Because he's...
And that's why I thought his name was Dwight, because he's like, and what do you want with me? He's like, with the White Dwarf.
Yeah. And he gets real mad at us for calling him Dwight. So
I basically read him with a Woody Allen voice.
That works for me.
Yeah.
Because of the cold.
So it turns out the exiled dwarf is Dwight's grandfather, and Treacle didn't actually kick him out. I don't know who kicked him out, but it wasn't Treacle. And then the Winter Queen arrives. Oh no, I have no idea who this is. Maybe it was supposed to be a big scary reveal, but
no, it just was a monster.
No, it's just like, here's some bad lady that we didn't know about. No, it's cool. That's all.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of implied that like she was like doing all the like winter sucksy things, but like who knows? Who cares?
Yeah.
She's Elsa pre Let It Go. So
based on my knowledge of both this game and Dragon Quest in general, I have a hunch. I feel like what happens later is it turns out that all of these like don't have a name or don't seem important out of nowhere, like big powerful demons like that showed up, like the one that was the king of the castle, and then this one. They're all actually like working for the big bad. They're all his like minions. We just don't know about that till later.
That feels right.
So yeah, she turns into a monster. She had apparently tricked Dwight. She twicked Dwight into bringing her the Herald of Spring, but we kilt her ass. And having Honey is so great because Honey heals.
Yeah.
Honey fucking rules.
And she has great AI.
Yeah.
It's still hard having these two bosses right in a row because you fight Dwight as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think I got on my first try, but I had a rough time.
Yeah, on my screenshot, I have 7 MP left on my main character and only 1 MP left on Honey, and Saber somehow has full HP, which I don't even fucking get, but everyone else is in dire straits.
He defends every goddamn turn instead of fighting like he's like a good boy.
Yeah, and the Winter Queen also heals herself.
Oh, I hate I appreciate that, like, in Dragon Quest, your opponents have the same character sheet that you do. I hate that they have access to all your healing spells. Because it's like... Because, like, then it's like, okay, well, now it's a game of, like, keep up. Because it's like, I have to make progress, do more than 30 damage a turn. Because she's using heal 1, which is around 30 HP. So it's like, I have to, like, be better for no good reason to be able to beat this boss. And it's dumb. I hate it.
Yeah.
Or more likely, you just get good RNG.
Yeah.
Because her healing herself is definitely still very RNG based. So maybe it's like, you hit her a shit ton, and she heals herself, and then you hit her a shit ton again, and then she gets a turn, and she, like, doesn't heal herself. And you're like, idiot.
Yeah. So, let's see. Sorry, I lost my place. We get the Herald of Spring, and take that back to Treacle. She tells us to come back when we're older, and the fairies will repay us. Spring is saved.
I love how much they, like, try and make you're going to grow up be, like, a surprise in game when on the cover of the box is is grown up boy. Though I think
like every NPC in this chapter is like something. When you're older, come back and drink when you're older. Even even Honey is like, man, yeah, it really would be nice if you were older. No, you're still fine. You're still saving the day. It's great, but, like, if you were older, you'd be better at fighting. Kind of nags you.
Yeah, a little bit. She gives us a branch that she says will blossom when spring comes, and then Treacle plays the flute and heralds spring, and it's incredibly pretty. I love the animation for this.
I love the graphics here.
It's
so
good.
And then we get sent back. We head back upstairs, and Sancho comes and tells us that someone came from Kronborg Castle, and Pringles is on his way there now. So he's like, you gotta hurry. And then we start heading off, and he's like, wait, let's talk about something for 10 minutes. We apparently dropped the branch. So he told us he'd keep it up in our room. And he puts it up there and delays our quest to go find our dad. So we head out. I go straight to the guard because, I don't know, like...
Yeah, that's what it wants you to do, because Sancho's like, your dad already left, and you're like, well, shit, I gotta go catch him, so...
Yeah. But the guard tells us that Pretzels hasn't left yet, or at least he didn't see him leave. So I headed over to the church to save, and luckily, Dad was over there.
So I do have to say that this is the tutorial on saving, and as a tutorial on saving... Isn't it weird that it comes at, like, 5 hours into the game when you've done all of this? Like, you've done, like, 4 dungeons now? Like, imagine being some little kid, first ever Dragon Quest on the Super Nintendo back in the day, and it's like, wait, what am I supposed to do? Like...
Maybe they really wanted you to figure out how to save on your own, and this is just like a, just in fucking case you haven't figured this out yet.
I left my Super Nintendo on for the last 8 hours.
I was about to say, like, just in case you left it on all night because you didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, it is true that you don't need to save to, because when you die, that doesn't matter. So that's good, at least. But yeah, it is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Though probably even more true back in 1991, 92, whenever this came out. Probably more true back then that, like, you sat down to play an RPG and you played for 6 hours. Like, we were talking about that with Rogue Galaxy and Persona 3, that, like, the beginning of it is beefy, but it's like back in the day you just had 6 hours at a time to play video games.
Yeah, because you were 9 years old.
And so like they probably didn't even think about it. Like this might be the first time most people saved if this was their first one, but it's okay because like it's only 4 or 5 hours in, and you can do that in one sitting.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that it doesn't like when you die, you don't go back to the last save point. Yeah. You just keep going from where you are, which I really love.
Yeah. I knew you would love it because A, this game is very comparable to Final Fantasy VI, and B, you can't lose.
Yeah. I truly appreciate that.
There's no losing, there's no jumping puzzles. This is Eli's favorite game of all time.
I am enjoying it a great deal.
Yeah.
We get to the church. Dad tells us to save, and then we head off together, and we're headed toward Kronborg Castle. At one point we stop by a guard, and we get his full name, Pankraz Gotha, which is a weird last name. He doesn't look very goth to me. But he was apparently summoned by King James, and Checkpoint Charlie, which sounds like a name I'd make up for something, just lets us through. Dad says, "We have to hurry. Let's go look at this river for a while."
It's really actually sweet. Did you understand what the sprites were trying to do in 3D space, which was obviously a holdover from the Super NES version?
Yeah, he was like putting the kid on his back.
Yeah, he picks you up on his shoulders,
which is really cute.
It was so cute.
And there's some old man staring at the river, and Dad asks if he's okay. He just says he's thinking about the kingdom's future, which, okay, cool story.
Yeah, it's we don't know what that means yet. Like, we accidentally walk into an episode of Game of Thrones and we don't know anybody or what's going on, is what happens right now. Yeah. And this was the first little taste of that.
Yeah. So we get to Kronborg Castle and we head to the king. Apparently the king wants to ask Pickles a favor. I went around and talked around to some NPCs first, and I ran into the queen. The queen says, my kid would be a better king than his half-brother, who we haven't met yet. And then we talked to her son, who is Wilbur, who immediately says, I don't want to be king.
So this part with the queen consort, I think they called it?
Yes, queen consort.
Yeah, so the queen consort reminded me of in season 1 of Game of Thrones is the only one I've watched like beginning to end. I've just seen a couple episodes now and then. But the beginning of Game of Thrones, Cat Stark goes to this like incest castle, for lack of a better word, and the queen is like so sure that her son should be king, and so like she calls him king of their weird little incest castle and shit like that. And so I just, every time they were talking, I just saw that stupid weird little incest boy and that weird little incest queen, and those were those sprites. That's what they were. It was just
I really like the localizers. Like, I don't know, maybe this is just my prejudices, but I feel like as soon as the localizers, like, they're like, what are we gonna name this kid so that we know he's a snot-nosed little ass? Oh, how about Wilbur?
Yeah.
As soon as you see the name Wilbur, you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Apologies to anyone named Wilbur.
Apologies to the Zickerman's famous pig, Wilbur.
Oh.
Yeah, that pig's a good little boy. Yeah. He's some
pig.
Is
some pig. I went around and talked to some more people. One of the guards tell us that kids are being kidnapped. Good thing I'm by myself and 6.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Dad. This is all while Dad is off talking to the king.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was a private conversation. So we were told to go chat with.
I love that scene because the king's like, it's a private conversation, and so our escorts are like, okay, cool, and then he's like, guards, I said it was a private conversation. They're like, oh, sorry, and then your dad's like, son, he said private conversation. Like, oh, okay. I didn't know.
All right.
I thought I was better than the escorts, and I thought I was better than the guards, and I guess I was better than neither, so I'll go.
I'm not going to understand a goddamn thing you say because I'm 6 and politics mean nothing to me.
Right. Go and explore the castle.
Yeah, and one of the other NPCs I noticed mentioned that the queen has been meeting with some unsavory characters, which means there's going to be some shit going down, I'm sure.
Yep.
So we run into Harry, who is the older son, and not the queen's son, and he is a little shit. I hate him.
I hate him so much. He's tricksy wicket.
Yeah, he's so awful. He says, and I talked to him for a while, and he was like, "You've come here to be my lackey," and I kept saying no. And he's like, "Sorry, I didn't hear that. What was that?" And I kept saying no over and over and over. So you can't say no to being Harry's lackey. But then when you finally say yes, he's like, "I would never have a little kid like you be my lackey. Go away."
It's such a weird "but thou must" sort of thing. It's like, I feel this game so far has riffed on Dragon Quest's famous "but thou must" like situations. Like, none of them have been good so far. It's all just been like jokey ones.
None of them like matter with the plot at all.
Yeah.
Like this
but
one,
thou
like
must,
they just sneak a dunk on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we find Dad again and talk to him, and he's apparently been told to look after Prince Harry. So we head back, and Dad tells us to go make friends with him. So we go talk to the little shit again, and he tells us to go get a lackey badge from a chest, which is empty. And then when we come back, he disappears. So I went and talked to Dad. Ponko comes with us, and he's like, "What? No, he didn't disappear. He's right there." So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I talk to the kid again. He tells me again to go get the lackey badge. I go open the chest. It's empty, of course. I go back. The little fucker is fucking gone again. I fucking hate this kid. So I talk to Dad again. And he's like, "Did you check around behind everything?" And then, voila, I found your secret staircase, you little asshole. So, head down the stairs, and Cockney kidnappers came to capture the crappy kid. Thank you, I'm good at alliteration.
That was so good.
Dragon Quest writer now.
Yeah. I think Square's gonna call you about a job soon.
Fucking about time.
Right?
I've only been... This is my life's work, this one sentence.
Right?
And I fucking nailed it. So, let's see.
So yeah, we tell our dad is what happens next.
Yeah, we tell our dad about it. I ran into some lady who mentions that Harry acts up because he lost his mom and the new queen favors her own kid. Which, okay, I can understand that to some extent. He is a little kid. So of course he's not gonna act as princely perhaps as he
might
should.
not deal with his emotions in the most responsible ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Good thing adults always do.
Yeah. So Pancraz heads out of the castle and leaves us behind. So I had to find my way over to this cave behind another poison swamp area.
Yeah, and of course just fucking goes.
Yeah.
And like he waits for you like the first one. So like you go outside and he's like, "All right, let's get down here." And so like you go and follow him, and then he moves again, but that second move is all the way to the dungeon. So I searched everywhere in the town, thinking like, "Oh yeah, all right, what is Pancras doing? Where's his next like stopping point to find him?" And no,
I spent a good 10 minutes looking for him in the town. And that was when I went around and just talked to other NPCs for a while. So we get to this dungeon, and we see Pancras fighting some monsters, and so we have to kind of go through a maze sort of area to get to him. And I talked to some of the, I guess, guard bandits, jerks. I talked to them, and it turns out the queen had them kidnap Harry. which is concerning.
Yeah.
So we make it to Pancras finally. He's like, "How'd you get here?" "Well, I guess you're a man now, my kindergarten child."
He's like, "I know I said to come with me, and then I disappeared. So glad you're not dead. Cool."
Yeah. So we go through the dungeon with Dad. We find Harry in a cell.
One thing I think is cool about going through the dungeon with Dad right now is, like, Dad still is holding our hand and healing us, but we're badass fairy adventurers now, and so it's like we got nicked for like 2 damage, and he's like, "Are you okay? Let me heal you." And it's just like, "Dad, it's okay."
Yeah, please. Like, you said I'm a man now, so maybe step off for a bit. Just let me fight my own battles.
But when he heals you,
when
he heals you between battles, it doesn't consume his MP, which is nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that is nice.
Mm-hmm. I'm playing Dragon Quest XI right now, and Dragon Quest XI does this thing where, very consistently, it's very cool. Anytime you get a new character to your party, a new permanent party member, there's always like a quest beforehand where they join as a guest, and they always join as a guest like for a while, for like a whole dungeon, and they only use AI, and that way you get to see how they fight and where all their spells are. And then after the end of that quest, then they join your party. That's a little tutorial thing. But here's the thing. When someone's in your party as a guest, they have unlimited MP and can't die.
Wow.
That's really good.
And the enemies will target them with RNG as if they're regular party members. So it'll be like, oh, the boss reared up his super devastating critical blow. And I'm like, hands over my eyes, like peeking through my fingers, like, oh god, he's about to score a critical hit on my main character, and then it's like, he hit your guest character. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If he hits your guest character,
awesome.
You're fine. So you just pray that he attacks him over and over and not your real guys, because they're invincible.
Yeah.
Is Pancras invincible here?
No.
No.
I mean, as we see dramatically here in a second.
During this portion, he's just functionally invincible.
Yeah.
Right, because he's so powerful.
Yeah.
I like how during this, like, climax of the chapter, this most dramatic high point in the chapter, it stops being a game. You can't lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not even a boss that you actually have to fight.
Yeah, it's good. It was real good.
So,
it was very,
we find
very, like, ludonarrative storytelling. Here it's like,
yeah, especially because earlier in the game there were already dungeons and bosses, but now it's like, not this part.
Yeah. So we find Harry being held in a prison cell, and Pancras fucking hulks out and destroys the cell door. Just like, not even destroys, it like flies off.
Yeah, I can see in my head the SNES sprite would just do the thing where the sprite just disappears. That's how you open doors on the SNES. Is the sprite just disappears. So that's probably what happened. But they were like, nah, on this 3D one, we're going to use that 3D, son. And it just flies into the camera.
Yeah, make it dramatic. Harry tells us he doesn't want to go back, so Plinko smacks the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, which he deserved, little shithead. Not that I advocate hitting children. It's a video game. You just Harry. Just Harry. So we escape with Harry. Pancras stays back and fights some monsters while we take Harry out with us. And then we run into someone called the Great Bishop Lodja.
Who had been named dropped in one of the dungeons. Like, I recognized the name.
Oh, had it?
Yeah. I don't remember where from. Probably count up to 10, but I don't remember exactly.
Okay. I trust you.
Yeah. I think it was just, they listed off a couple names. They're like, oh, blah, 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 and Lodja, but I recognized the name here.
Yeah. So Lodja destroys us. Mm-hmm. And then Dad shows up to try and save us. We learn about the Order of Zug's Wang.
That's Zug's Wang.
Yep. And apparently Pancras recognizes Lodja. We don't know how. Probably something calling back to the very beginning of the game. So Pancras fights a couple of Lodge's lackeys and kills him really easily, but then Lodge picks up Eli, or whatever you've named the main character, and holds a fucking scythe to his throat, and is like, if you know what's good for you, you're not gonna fight.
Do you want your neck sliced off by the scythe of hell?
Yes, that was it. Yeah,
I was looking up that line.
So Pancras gets into another battle, and we watch him slowly lose all of his HP.
Yeah,
very slowly, because
it takes a long fucking time.
Yeah, it's pretty painful to watch, just because it's all automated, which is good, but it takes forever. Yeah. And you're just God.
One thing I was liking a lot until it looped, and then I was like, you could have made these mobs stronger then, because each time he defends, it doesn't just say he defends. It's like he sorrowfully lowers his head, or something like that. Like it's flavorful each time he does it.
He withstands stoically or something like that. Yeah.
And, but after 5 of them, it just repeats, and I'm like, then kill me in 5 hits. I don't need it to be 10 hits to read the same thing twice.
Yeah.
Y'all remember how Shigesato Itoi, the Earthbound guy, has only played one other video game, and it's Dragon Quest?
Yeah.
Earthbound Mother 3, basically they were like, what if we took this scene and turned the dial up to 100 and did a number of extremely important plot scenes in the game using this style of storytelling, and it'll blow your damn mind.
Good.
But it very clearly was like, oh, it's this. This is the part. It's the part from Dragon Quest V, except it's 20 years later.
Yeah.
Maybe more like we made it 15 years. 15 years more technology, right? Yeah. Oh man, it's so good.
So Pancras slowly dies to save our life, but as he's dying, he tells us that our mom is alive. What the fuck?
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. I was pretty surprised about that. And then Lodge fucking vaporizes him. And he steals our ball and sells us to slavery.
No, he doesn't just steal our ball. He crushes it.
He crushes it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, he grabs it, he's like, oh, it's weird that you have this. And it looks like he's not even totally sure what it is. I think he knows it's an important plot item, but he's like, huh. Well, might as well just do this just to be safe. And then he crushes it.
Yeah.
And all the sparkles go all over us, and I don't know if that means anything, but no,
that's just graphics.
He literally bashed our balls.
Yeah.
So we get sold into slavery, and that's where it all ends. We just get a black screen, and we save, and...
The end.
That's Dragon Quest V, everybody.
That's the whole game.
We just died.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if they would explain this. I wasn't when I said we were stopping here. I wasn't sure if y'all would know there was a time skip, because I wasn't sure how the narration works. Yeah. But yeah, it does. It's like,
yeah.
Yep. You're
10 years later.
Yeah, so you're in hard slavery for 10 years. So if you weren't ripped before, you're real ripped now.
We were already pretty ripped. Yeah, so...
And you definitely still can't read.
Yeah, because you're a slave. Are they going to teach you to read? Definitely not.
Okay, so spoiler, obviously, once you become an adult, you can read, but now I'm thinking of how funny it would be if the entire game you just can't read. It's illiteracy representation. I guess there's no point in having illiteracy representation in a text-based video game.
To read.
It's not like any illiterate people are going to be playing it. But
well, maybe they'll watch a Let's Play. Or maybe someone will read it to them.
That reminds me of, there's this GameFAQs thread where this guy was blind, and his favorite game was Pokemon, because Pokemon gives you the "you can't go this way" the
little bump.
Oh, yeah. Bonk,
and so he would just have somebody read it to him, and then he would just mentally map out all the dungeons and find his way through.
Wow.
It was wild. So cool.
That's so cool.
That's cool as hell.
It was on GameFAQs, so it's probably all fake.
Probably.
No, I've heard of that happening, not 0 times for various games.
I knew a guy who played text muds, and he was blind.
Okay.
He had a text-to-speech program and special triggers that would play sounds when things were happening. But yeah, People will find ways to play just about anything.
Right.
Life finds a way. So that's all for the story. What about our memorable moments?
I have quite a few. I was going through and favoriting screenshots as we went through. Is there a way to just find favorites? Yeah, there it is. Okay. So, starting from here. Okay, so this one's bad and stupid and I love it. But in the inn in Fairy World, there's a skeleton in a bathtub. And
hell yeah.
he goes, ooh, that feels good. Nothing like a bath. You can feel the heat right down to your bones.
The visual of a skeleton enjoying a warm bath makes me really happy.
Yeah.
I love when monsters show up in Dragon Quest games and they're like, I'm not a bad slime, and they just have some extremely goofy dialogue.
Yeah, they call us goomans.
Yeah, the place that monsters have in these games are weird, because, like, you're slaughtering them left and right, and as far as I can tell, like, they are sentient.
Yeah.
Like, all of them. But on the other hand, it's like, I think what it is, like, maybe in the game's universe, in a way that makes it not horrifying, it's like, they're somehow acknowledged as being not real beings that they don't count. So because they are. It is important to know that they are all literal demons from hell.
Yeah.
So it's like in Judeo-Christian mythology, if you were to murder a demon, disintegrate it into nothingness with holy power, you wouldn't feel bad about it. Because it's a living. It's a creature that with a mind and a soul, but it's fundamentally evil. So it's fine. Which is weird and uncomfortable, but it's just like, I feel like that's how this is. It's like the monsters, like, it's fine if you kill them, and if you kill them, they're like, they kind of are also cool with it. Like in Dragon Quest 11, you kill one in a cutscene, it's like, he kind of acts like, well, those are the breaks. Like, when you kill him, like maybe they don't die. Maybe they get banished back down to hell.
Maybe so.
It's weird, but yeah. And then you meet a slime, and he's like, "I'm a regular slime. I'm going to talk to you like a person." And I'm like, "Wait, is that how all the ones I was killing are?"
Well, he doesn't say I'm a regular slime. They always say I'm not a bad slime.
Yeah.
Oh, right. But what does that mean? It's so they never really explain in any kind of deep way. It's really funny, but also kind of weird.
Yeah.
I love it. Speaking of slimes, another one of my memorable moments was one of the slimes in Fairy Town that you talk to says, wow, you look really nice. And gooey, too. That's a compliment from a slime, you know.
So I'm pretty sure that's the same slime.
No, I have 3 different locales where there are slimes you can talk to. There's one with the down in the dwarf, and then there was another one. But yeah, there's a lot of slimes.
Last week there was one in the cave dungeon.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking that the cave dungeon was later he went to Fairy Leah.
Oh, maybe.
But maybe I'm just reading into it.
Maybe so. But, yeah,
I had one other, and it's just...
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, let's see, I had a couple one. I found some guy in the Dwarf Cave who was like, after I found the Lots About Locks, he said, "Gordon Bennett, you already found the book." I don't
know what
understand that exclamation.
I think it's supposed to be "God damn it."
Probably.
But
it's probably
Gordon
rhyming
Bennett
slang.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Wait, what?
It's probably rhyming slang.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh,
which is the worst.
Cockney, yeah.
God, just what a bad country.
Anyway, I also noticed when you're in Fairy Lee and there's a bunch of bookshelves around, if you go to the wrong side of them, it says Eli looks at the bookshelf. Oops, this is the back of the bookshelf. And I appreciate that attention to detail.
So
that's really funny.
I googled what does Gordon Bennett mean, and it's not rhyming slang. It is British slang, but Gordon Bennett was a real person, and this, like, I couldn't sum up these paragraphs. It's like a page and a half of things about Gordon Bennett on why his name has become an exclamation of incredulous surprise.
I was just like, is there someone I should know named Gordon Bennett? That's so very weird.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and...
It's Eliza Bennett's weird uncle.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and read that whole thing now because I'm intrigued on, like, why there's this common-ish slang word in Britain that has, like, a 6-page dissertation on why.
Yeah, I'm going to look at that, too, after this.
But that same guy, as when he's like, oh, you already have the book, he's like, you better watch your back, mate. I'm like an elephant, me. I pack a mean trunk. Wait, no, I mean, I never forget nothing. I was like, is that a dick?
Did he just...
Is that a dick joke?
A dick joke?
In Dragon
to a
Quest?
6-year-old? Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah. I like that guy. But that was... and I really love the Herald of Spring animation.
Yeah.
When...
I just can't believe there was a dick joke in something with art by Akira Toriyama.
Right?
Oh, no.
Another quick one I had was if you go and investigate a globe in the castle, it brings up your world map, but it's not either of the world maps that you get to, like, use in game. It's just like you just get to look at it, and it's cool. And I like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool.
It's like a little preview. It's like, oh, hey, yeah, here's what the world looks like. Not that you can explore it freely right now anyway, but yeah.
And then you see a conspicuous island in the middle with a lot of poison swamps and a ring of mountains. And I'm like, okay, well, that's the final boss. I know Dragon Quest to know what those mean.
That dark continent shrouded in mystery, yeah.
And then one final one I have is when the Cockneys come in to kidnap King Harry. They're like, oh, oi, you Prince Harry? And he goes, no, I'm Prince Harry with an H, you imbecile. And I'm like, that's so good.
Wow, he's so classist.
Yeah. He is a little jerk.
I believe a monarch is classist.
Right?
But yeah, was that everyone? So we good?
No, I have heard. You got any?
Yes. When the stairway to Fairy Lee appears, it just looks so cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's cool on the iOS version, but on the DS version, like, starts on the top screen and then scrolls down onto the lower screen.
Oh, that's cool.
It just... I feel like the fact that it's 2 screens makes that more effective.
Yeah. On the iOS version, the bottom screen is kind of middle of our view, so we get a little bit of that top screen action, but it's like you got taller version of it than we did.
Yeah, and I'm still being really contrarian and telling most people no, so I told Treacle, no, I won't help you, and she's just like, that's okay, I'm not bitter. And you can just go and walk around really and talk to people, and you have to go and talk to Treacle again in order to start the quest.
That's so cool. That one that is plot important isn't a but thou must.
Yeah.
Yeah. That reminds me of the one in Dragon Quest III, Sam. You know what I'm talking about.
There's a lot.
The one with the King of Italy land.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty great if the places in Dragon Quest III were just called Italy land, Spain land.
It would be perfect.
Russia land.
Italy, but different.
Yeah. I mean, it is called Romaria, which is pretty much Italy land, but different.
Romario. Oh my god.
That's true.
That's
what's the England one called? It's called, like...
It's basically Edinburgh, but it's like Edinburgh or something.
Yeah, it is Edinburgh, yeah.
Another thing, the enemy animations in this game are so good, and there are a lot of them. A lot of enemies have multiple animations just for doing a basic attack, and it's wonderful. Specifically in Fairy Lee, there's a group of 4 enemies that all have Pip in their names, and their animations are just so delightful.
Yeah.
And I can't like show them to you or anything because this is a podcast, but just
it's good.
Know that this game has good animations.
Yeah, like it's a weird, like, like it's almost like Dragonbone animation and but also like just regular sprite animation together in a way that's really, really cool and interesting, because I typically don't like Dragonbone animation, but I think that all of them are good in this game. It's wild. Yeah. Dragonbone animation is the one where like you separate all the arms and stuff and you like rotate them and stuff.
They all look like dumb puppets.
I had never heard of that.
Yeah. I realized that I learned it like 6 months ago, and so our podcast listeners probably had never heard it.
Yeah. Like, I don't... and the last thing I ever want to do is like dunk on low-budget indies who are trying their best.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're doing Dragonbone animation because you're a low-budget indie who's trying your best, then that's fine. I respect you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the idea that anybody would choose it on purpose as an artistic decision is bizarre.
Yeah.
And if you think it looks good, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I don't trust you as an artist.
Note
I don't know.
Yourself, never use Dragonbone animation.
Yeah, I'm just like, apparently there's a group of people out there who think this shit looks good, or at least don't understand that it looks bad.
Yeah.
Like, they don't care enough about aesthetics to care. You know what I mean? Like, programmers who don't know what aesthetics are.
Like the only
I say that as a programmer.
The only ones that I've ever liked were in Sidorica, because for the most part everyone is flat shaded, which is the only time that it works. Because if you add shading, suddenly you raise your arm and now your shading is on top where the sun is, and Dragonbone animation just doesn't work. But in Sidorica, everyone's flat shaded, and there are like 1,000 different bits of the skeleton, like their clothes are rustling and their hair is rustling. I'm like, that's the one time I've looked at it and been like, oh, this looks good. Anywho.
God, I'm getting more and more sniffly. I've got a couple. Let's see. Also with the graphics, I took a bunch of screenshots of just the fairy, the winter, not the Winter Palace, the Fairy Leah place in general. It's just got amazing 3D, just environment design. Like when you're inside the palace, it's like the inside's all icy, but actually you're looking at a cross section of it, and the outside's actually a tree.
Yeah.
That's like super cool. The combination of the snowy blueness and then the brown tree, or no, the other way around. Sorry, the inside's obviously a tree, but the outside is like covered in like icy branches. It's really, really cool. All the buildings in this game are super like. There's no like straight lines. They're all like really wobbly, using lots of geometry, which is cool. Let's see, what else do I got here? I don't understand what this was supposed to be a screenshot of. Oh, the stairs. I always take a picture of the stairs because the stairs are cool looking.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's the skeleton.
Love that skeleton.
Oh right, here's the first one. Sorry, my phone actually closed out my screenshots when I was trying to look at them. If you do your party chat, Honey is not as cute as Bianca is, but she's still fun. If you're in the cave, one of her dialogues, she goes, "I've never been in a cave until now. I thought it'd be exciting and fun, but I'm bored."
Yeah.
if you talk to her again, she goes, "I'm so bored I could die. I don't know how you put up with it." And I'm like sitting there fighting all these monsters. She's like, yawn.
One thing that I noticed about Honey is she's not plot important, because she only has a 4-directional sprite, and you, Saber, Bianca, and Pancras have a 8-directional sprite.
Saber does not have an 8-directional sprite, actually.
Saber doesn't?
No.
I think grown-up
totally
Saber might, but I've just seen it on the sprite sheet.
Baby Saber doesn't.
Baby Saber doesn't. So it's like I was like freaking out the other day because she's also just uses the basic fairy sprite. And so I was in the fairy castle, and I was rotating my camera, and I noticed that her sprite would change at a 45 and not like on a cardinal direction or whatever. And I was like, wait, is this random NPC set up on a 45 degree even though they only have a 4-directional sprite? And then I moved and it followed me. I was like, oh, it was Honey the whole time. But
that was something I forgot to mention too. Once when we got kidnapped by Laja, his lackeys asked like, "What do we do with the saber cat?" And Laja was like, "Oh, just let it go out in the wild and become feral and kill people." And I'm like, well, that's not going to come back to bite him in the ass or anything.
Yeah, and then
literally bite him in the ass.
So then they take away the two kids, and Saber wakes up and looks around, and he's all alone, and it's so sad.
Yeah, you can't really hear it, at least in the version that I played, the iOS version, but in the NES and maybe DS version, the sound mixing, you can actually hear him do a little whine. Oh yeah, Pancras doesn't just die; he gets literally incinerated.
Oh yeah, I said he got vaporized.
Oh, that's right. Instead of dying, he literally leaves behind a black scorch mark on the ground.
Yeah,
which is what happens when Saber goes over and sniffs the black scorch mark, and it's like, oh, now I can't eat it
because I come from
what a wild animal does. So more of my favorite stuff. I really like how when you sleep at the inn in Fairyland, you wake up back in the town. It kind of implies that the Fairyland was also perhaps like a dream world or something. That's
especially because Honey's not with you, and you're like, oh, I guess it was a dream. And you talk to Sancho, and Sancho's like, wow, that's weird. It sounds like a dream. And then you go downstairs, and there's Honey waiting for you. She's like, oh, cool, you woke up. You ready to go back on our adventure? And then
so after you talk to Sancho, if you use party chat, Honey's like, Honey goes, it better be our little secret, just between you and me. Teehee, it'll be fun, won't it? And I'm like, you can't say that to a child if you're not a child. That's weird. Yeah. Honey, just... No, stop it.
Yeah.
It's not an appropriate thing to say.
Let's see. Like right now, we're teaching Scarlet that if someone asks you to keep a secret, don't trust them. Like, you can do surprises where you tell somebody something later to surprise them, but you don't keep secrets because, I don't want anybody to be like, hey, Scarlet, it'll just be our little secret. Like, no, sorry, you're going to touch me.
That's a good lesson that more parents should teach their kids.
When you talk to the old man back in Fairyland, you tell him about how you defeated the Winter Queen, and he goes, well, I hope this is the end of all the trouble now. I'd hate to think it was the start of even bigger problems.
No, that wouldn't happen.
Definitely wouldn't happen.
The old men are poignant this chapter.
Yeah, they really are. Let's see. We got the Prince of Coburg. I like the whole Prince subplot. It's cool. It's like, the way I see it, it's like the second queen or whatever, like the second wife, wants her kid to be on the throne, so she gets the previous kid kidnapped. And nobody likes him anyway, and he's a little shit, but her kid also sucks. It's good stuff. That's basically it. Oh, and when you're in Fairyland, I like the music that plays, and I like how it plays on the world map and in the town. Yeah. It's just like one song. It's
to quote Tim Rogers, it's Rinkadink Teletubbies taking a dump music. One thing that just really confused me is you go across this like underwater passage to get to the castle, and you go through the passage. He's like, oh, let's look at the river. A great scene where he puts you on his shoulders and stuff. Then he goes back into the passage, walks a little bit, and then it's like, we must get to the castle, and turns around.
We have to hurry.
Like, what?
And that wasn't like a glitch or anything. That was like a programmed in scripted cutscene. I don't get that.
It wasn't like funny or anything, so
it was just
no, I don't think it was supposed to be like a joke. I think maybe
he was like,
it was supposed to be some kind of character thing that I just don't get.
Yeah, like, was that the passage back home? Because maybe he was just like, oh, I came out and we had this good old day, and now I'm going to go back home with my kid.
I think it was.
Maybe he was even, maybe he's not talking to his kid. He's not explaining this to his kid. Maybe he was considering just like going back home and not going to the castle, and then like changed his mind. I have no idea. That part was very, very strange.
I had forgotten about it until just now. It's so weird.
And the final thing is, I really like Lodge's talking. He says, if you are not considerating for the life of this child, then please go on and make your best moves. When he says to set Sabretooth free, he says, set him liberal in the wild. His savage nature will be returning at him.
Yeah, he's not so good at the English. I thought maybe it was like a mistranslation, but then as I kept reading, I was like, oh, it's a purposeful mistranslation.
Yeah, it's just the typical thing where it's like, it's supposed to sound kind of like, I think it's supposed to sound like Slavic, right? Like Latya, right? Like it's a Slavic thing. So it's like, oh, he's getting his prepositions wrong, because he doesn't know how to talk normal. Because villains speak other languages, as we all know. Yeah, and then one of the two bosses
for the third time consecutively is villains should talk weirder.
Exactly. The two bosses that you fight here, or that Pancrest fights, are so cool. I like the horse that's like straight out of a Chuck Tingle novel.
It's so weird. I took a
He's like
screenshot
this
of that
huge
horse.
buff. His arms are in constant flex mode.
It's Adam from Undertale.
No, Aaron.
It's
Aaron from Undertale.
It literally is. That's like the same sprite.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Flexing contest. All right.
And it's funny because it's a really serious scene, and the sad music is playing, but the bad guys are just the goofiest looking motherfuckers in the world. It's like, whatever. The villains look just because the story's serious doesn't mean the villains can't also look funny, I guess.
It's like, all right, Akira Toriyama, I want you to design some monsters. He's like, all right, here's some silly ones. No, it's for a dramatic scene. I said what I said.
It's like, it's like, I'm not drawing.
Scene. Okay, a buff horse.
Buff horse.
A sexual buff horse. And of course, Toriyama's like, I'm not going to draw more. I'm Akira Toriyama. You know I'm fucking lazy. But yeah, that's all for me.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Cool.
So Sam, have you figured out exactly what we're playing to next week?
I sent one to you back in the day, and
You did? Oh god.
So I'm just gonna.
I did a bad job and didn't really figure it out.
Okay, so I'm going to do.
We were saying before we were going to do 3 episodes for Chapter 2, right?
I think so. So.
Because I had an idea we were going to go to a certain point, but then I just checked a walkthrough, and I'm like, oh, that point is actually way farther in the game than I thought it was.
Okay, so when I did it, when we were doing it, we were talking about the square roots. They broke it up into 6 episodes, and their episodes were the ancient ruins, the marital organ, which sounds dirty, marriage, then time jump, dragon temple, finish the game. And are these the ancient ruins they were talking about there? Okay.
Yes.
So their next one would be the marital organ. Would that be a stopping point?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
yeah,
good.
I have no idea what that means. If you could give me a better idea of what that stopping point is.
Let me look real fast.
Yeah, how do we know
actually
there?
Yeah, I didn't want to spoil
I know exactly
it for myself,
what that is.
I just
didn't know exactly what... I know exactly what that is, but in this game, sometimes you have to go around a lot to get various, like plot. You have to run around on various fetch quests and stuff. So let me look real quick one more time. Yeah. So marital organ is an item that you have to get at one point. It's literally an organ. It's not something disgusting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that another dick joke?
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this is gonna be it's gonna be pretty beefy. But the thing is, some of the stuff towards the end, it's like it's gotta happen this week and not next week.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. Marital organ is perfect stuff.
So
So it's just around
when we get the marital organ,
save at the closest church.
Yep. Yeah, cool. And I believe it literally is handed to you like by a character in like a brief scene. So like literally they hand. It's not even a dramatic plot thing. It's just like, here it is, and then you go save.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
dope. So we'll do that, and that's where we'll be stopping. Let me pull up my outro notes because we were really lazy on this game and didn't write them down.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
I've been keeping physical notes because it's easier than trying to bust out a laptop.
I will say at this point in the game, there's going to start being a lot more like mechanics. So if you want tips, feel free to ask.
Yeah, and
for tips from those of us who have played the game already.
Yeah, and from Tim Rogers' non-spoilery review, he says that right now it becomes a Dragon Quest game. It was kind of like linear as hell right now, and it'll open up a lot more. Not all the way, but still more of just like, here's the world. Go and find a thing you have to do. So those will be cool.
Well, we're still not going to get the ship until next week.
Yeah.
So that's good.
The ship is when you're just like, you have to find the correct 3 NPCs to talk to in the whole world. So good luck.
That's not happening this week. We don't get the ship till next week.
But yeah, that'll do it for the week. If you like what you hear and you want to chat with us, there are a couple ways to do that. You can hit us up on Twitter at RPG Book Club, at our email address at rpgbookclub@gmail.com, or on our Discord, which has a link in the description. And if you'd like to help us pay for things, you can donate at our Ko-Fi, which is ko-fi.com/RPG Book Club. And if you do that, you can vote on our next game, which I think we're going to be announcing either next week or week after. If next week is pretty beefy, I won't bring it up. Like, I've already done all the shit, so we just have to say it. But we'll announce that next week or week after that you can go and vote on. And you also get our video series, the JRPG Canon, 2 weeks before everyone else. I'm going to actually play Final Fantasy 1 today and get all of my footage, so that'll get started here pretty soon.
Good luck.
I know. I already did it, but I was playing it on a emulator on my computer at work, so I wasn't capturing it. So when I sat down to do it, I knew I'd have to play it twice, and I'm like, this is a bad idea.
What version?
NES.
Nice.
I just watched an RPG Limit Break video last night of TaskBot playing Final Fantasy 1 with 4 white mages.
I literally was watching that before we started. Like, that's freaky. Like, it's up on my phone.
It just popped up on my YouTube's recommendations. I was like, hell yeah, I'll watch this.
Yeah.
And it was really good.
Yeah.
And technically, they only beat it with 1 white mage, because the other 3 are dead the whole time.
Yeah. They kill him in the first little bit so that you get faster runaway turns and less inputs. But so I'll be doing that soon, doing the good old fashioned NES version. I might use things, get important things from the NES version, but do most of my footage from a different version that doesn't suck, because I don't want to have to play this game a lot with it sucking. But that's about it. So again, we are going to stop when you get the Marital Organ and save at the closest church as soon as you get it. And for RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I've been Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I'm May.
I am David Bernard Hauk. I have been and will continue to be.
Yes.
Nice. And I have been and will continue to be sick. Bye, everybody.
Aww, bye. You know, in Persona 3, where Shinjiro dies, and then the next day it's like, yesterday was a terrible tragedy, but you must still go to school.
Yep.
Today is a terrible tragedy, but I must still do the podcast. It's okay.
Yeah, that blows, man.
I have Boots here with me.
Aww.
She's gonna do the podcast with me today.
Hi, Boots.
Hi, Boots.
She's a very good kitty.
Mm-hmm.
She's like 16 and a half, 17 years old. So,
wow.
She's lived a good kitty life.
Yeah, she had a good run.
I've only had her for 10 and a half years, and that doesn't feel like long enough.
Right? It never does.